It's Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, so you know what that means. It's time for another episode of Event Icons, presented by Endless Entertainment, the show where you get to ask the icons of the events industry anything. So, you might be wondering, how do you get to ask questions? All you have to do is use the question panel on the right of GoToWebinar to submit your questions. Or you can hop on Twitter to submit your questions with the hashtag Event Icons. We'll be answering your questions live during the entire show. Before we get started, the more people we have watching, the better conversation we can have. So please help share Event Icons on Twitter and Facebook. Just tell your friends to watch at www.event-icons.com. Now, without any further delay, this is Event Icons with your hosts, Will Curran of Endless Entertainment and Laura Lopez of Social Tables.
Oh yeah, I am so excited to be here, back again, another Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern. It's time for Event Icons, and this week we are talking how to stay healthy as an event professional. An amazing topic that me and Kelly Treadway actually came up with at IMEX, and we knew that we had to get this episode as soon as possible. So with the new year starting and everyone, new year, new you, it's time to start thinking about how you're going to be insanely healthy this year. So we're going to be talking all about that. I want to jump right on in and introduce our guest because this is going to be a very, very popular topic, and I know we're going to have a ton of questions from the audience. So starting off, I kind of slowly introduced her already, but Kelly Treadway in the house, a returning event icon. Kelly and I go way back to IMEX, and we were sitting at, ironically, eating burgers at IMEX, and we talked about we got to get her back on the show, and she said, you know what? No one's talking about with how stressful event professionals are and how crazy it is with traveling all over the country and the late nights and the high stress. How do you stay healthy? And I said, hey, I need to learn that too. So we had to do the episode, and I knew I had to have Miss Kelly Treadway in the house. Have her back, Miss Kelly Treadway. Thank you for being on the show again.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. And then also joining her, a recommendation by Kelly. I hadn't met the other Kelly. Yeah, this is the first time on the show we've had two people with the same name, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Miss Kelly Smink. Kelly is known also as a gamer girl because she is the master behind doing amazing games at conferences and at events that get people up and moving. So what's really cool is we're not going to be only talking about how do you as an event professional stay healthy, but how do you get your attendees up and moving and going around, especially in a day and age where we love to do classroom settings and do long breakout rooms and everyone's just sitting down all day. Psh, those are the days of the past. So I got to welcome the amazing and the amazingly sarcastic Kelly Smink in the house.
Thank you very much.
All right, and last but not least, a recommendation. We started talking about health and how do we keep event professionals healthy, and this woman was recommended by many people, Ms. Dr. Kim. Ms. Dr. Kim is absolutely amazing. I realize that's two titles technically in one, but Dr. Kim does an amazing amount of conferences where she actually focuses on teaching people how do we get people up and moving, again, at conferences, moving around, and believe it or not, she has a PhD in social sciences? Is that right?
Behavioral science.
Behavioral sciences. Dang it, I was so close. But Dr. Kim is in the house to help put, literally all she does for a living is get people up and moving at conferences and keeping them healthy. So super duper excited. She's the founder of x-bytes, and just so excited to have her here today, Miss Dr. Kim.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to getting to know you.
Awesome. So I want to start the show so we can jump right on in. I want to know what got you guys all into the events industry. So let's start with Kelly Smink. You want to talk about how you got into the events industry and what got you started?
Sure. It's a roundabout way. My background is finance, and I had my own accounting practice, and one of my clients was sick of doing the whole production stuff, and he wanted to do games. So he's like, give me some money, incorporate it, sit on the board, and let's see where this goes. And I ended up quitting my CFO job, and then I ended up buying him out, and here we are. We've been around since '99.
Oh, that's awesome. And can you kind of tell everyone, like, when you're referring to games, or you're obviously not talking about video games, what type of games, like, what's your most common game that you're doing at one of these events?
So we're talking anywhere from mobile zip lines to carnival rides, carnival trailers, virtual reality, photography, arcade games, sports bar games, blacklight, LED, anything that's kind of fun is what we do.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. So I'm definitely excited to hear about some cool activities that you've seen at your events that have gotten people up and moving. I'm curious to know. So I love that you were a finance person, like the very analytical mind, and then you moved to like the creative world of events, where like most people are like, finance, I don't like you. So I'm curious to know though, if you weren't in the events industry, would you be going back to finance, or what would you be doing if you weren't in the events industry?
I would. So it's very interesting. I have yet to ever do a budget for this company, because as soon as I make a budget, I see something I want to buy, and I'm always buying new games. And so, and you know, in this industry, everybody feels like they're the most important person there is. Everybody wants your attention. So, you know, there were days, like a couple days ago, I was working on W-2s and payroll taxes, and it was so divine because nobody could talk to me. Nobody bothered me. I was able to shut my door and not deal with people at all. So it's kind of like, you know, I go on these excursions where I just cut myself off from the world to refresh and regroup. So playing with numbers is kind of like a subset of that.
Awesome. It's like your Zen meditation time.
Absolutely, yes.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. Dr. Kim, I know everyone's curious to know how you went from behavioral sciences to being an event prof. Tell us what got you in the events industry.
So I'm an academic researcher by background, and I got into the industry completely by chance or accident. I was giving a talk at a Business of Aging Summit, and I was talking about a workplace bone fitness program. And I had everyone in the audience get up and do some of the exercises I was recommending be done in the workplace, squats, stretches, etc. And I just noticed that the energy level in the room completely shifted from people who were looking like they were going to fall asleep mid-afternoon to people who felt very energized. And I also noticed that the camaraderie in the room was just phenomenal. So someone asked me if I can give a live fitness break out west, and I thought, well, so why would someone pay me to do a 5-minute break? I can do it by video. And then the idea was born.
Awesome. That's so awesome. Very cool. Very cool. I love how like you like kind of like tested the waters with your first like talk that you did, and like that now that's all you do. That's so awesome. And then Dr. Kim, what would you be? So I'm really curious about what would you be doing if you weren't in the events industry?
I'd probably be doing a lot of work in workplace wellness, promoting wellness in the workplace, and I'd be developing my passions in dancing and dogs. I'd be doing more work with dogs. In fact, I'd want to be doing pet therapy and even bringing my golden retriever dog Benji into conferences as puppy cuddling sessions.
I love it. So puppy cuddling, and you would be dancing. So I think that you would be one of the most exciting people to hang out with at conferences, because like everyone would be like, I want to hang out with the dog and the girl who's dancing all the time. I love it. I love it. All right. Last but not least, I know you've been on the show and kind of told everyone a little bit about what you do, but maybe if you want to tweak it towards what you're working on wellness stuff. Kelly Treadway, you want to tell us a little bit about what got you into the events industry?
Yeah. So I came to the industry from the theater side. I was a theater major and went into arts administration. Yay! All the theater majors out there. And then into arts administration, and from there moved into sales and marketing positions in the events area. So I started in venues and went to catering, and then hotels and event rentals, and I kind of came full circle before I started EventCurious, which we do marketing for all of those types of companies within the special events niche. So.
Awesome. And then can you tell everyone a little bit, like, why did we decide to do this topic of wellness and everything like that, and how I was like, oh my gosh, yes, you're perfect for this. Let's go ahead and do this. Want to tell everyone a little bit of that background?
Yeah. So a few years ago, some people may know Erica Pruitt, who was a previous owner for a Big To Do Event Planning. She and I started an Atlanta group that met every Sunday of event professionals, and it was called Event Professionals Run Atlanta. We would get together every Sunday and we would walk or run, but we were religious about it for 2 years. That kind of went by the wayside once I started my company, and her company grew, and through some health issues on my side, I started to get back into the health and wellness, and realized that group was really good for the events community, but it's so much bigger than being local. And so this past January 2016, we rebranded to EventProfs Run the World, and we now have a blog that we're running and an Instagram page that's amazing, that highlights all the amazing things that professionals around the world are doing in the area of fitness, of health and wellness and fitness. So that's kind of how it came, it came to be that my eyes broadened that there's a bigger need for someone to be having these discussions, because, I feel like I make differences in the lives of the people that own the companies that I work with. However, if you want to change people's individual lives, really help them with their health and wellness, because when you start from there, everything else will begin to fall into line for them.
Boom, mic drop. That was amazing. I love it. And then I'm curious to know, if you weren't in the events industry, what would you be doing instead?
I honestly think that I would be in health and wellness, like be a personal trainer or something like that. I mean, running an agency doesn't allow me that time to do that, so I can't do that. But I think that if I wasn't running, a marketing agency, that I would do that. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. I don't think we could have had a more perfect.
First client,
in my previous life.
First client, I'll be the first.
I think you're going to have plenty of people in the audience who are going to say, I'm ready to be your first client too. All right, awesome. So let's jump right on into the topic at hand. So with how much wellness and self-care has come to the forefront of what everything's going. For example, at IMEX they have a run that you can do, and everyone's talking about how do we get people standing. Standing desks are a huge thing now. Why do you think, as we have a couple people at standing desks, why do you guys think that self-care, health and wellness has become such a hot topic in the events industry? Kelly, you want to kick it off? Kelly T?
Yeah, I think that it's twofold. I think, one, our community has really, over the last couple of years, has really solidified to where we're a united front now, and people are having discussions. And a lot of that, I think, is driven by social media and the hashtag EventProfs, so that people can connect. So I think there's an awareness. People are starting to talk about it. And then I think the back end part of that is the career cast, not prediction, but their list that has come out over the past few years, and event coordinator has been listed in the top 5 of the most stressful jobs in the U.S. So I think those things combined, it's finally opened people's eyes and ears to saying, okay, we might have some issues here. Let's see if we can make a difference in the industry.
I love it. I love it. You raised another question that I was going to ask, and you led into it, so we're going to get back to that one. But first, Dr. Kim, why do you think that health and wellness has become such a hot topic in the events industry?
Well, the events professionals work extremely long hours. They're traveling a lot. They're very focused on multitasking and planning. They're very detail-oriented, so it's a very stressful profession. And what's been happening is that meeting professionals are so busy taking care of their clients and the conference participants that they don't take care of themselves. It's as if they don't matter enough to take care of themselves. Hence the need for meeting professionals to do more self-care and focusing more on health and wellness to better take care of themselves, because if they take care of themselves and they put themselves first, they could better take care of their clients and the participants. And at the same time, they'll feel more energized, more productive, and more focused and happier.
Interesting. I think you bring up a good point about that they're so laser focused on their clients and helping other people, they forget about themselves. I think that's a very common thing also with entrepreneurs, that or for example, Kelly knows this with marketing, is they always say the marketing agencies, one thing is they always have trouble marketing themselves because they're so busy marketing for their clients. Why do you think that people are they're so focused and kind of are willing to let health take this back seat, Dr. Kim?
They don't have time. They don't have the time, they don't have the energy. By the end of the day or by the end of the conference event, they're spent, and they just can't seem to figure out how to integrate some type of wellness in small steps. And that's what we're all about, is making wellness easy for people to integrate into their busy days. So it's figuring out how.
Awesome. I think a lot of people are going to ask how as well, so we'll definitely dive into the topics for sure. Stay tuned. All right, and Kelly S., you've been doing this for a long time, so this isn't news to you at all. You're you've been probably preaching this for a long time. Why do you think it's just all of a sudden become such a big hot topic?
You know, I was just sitting here thinking about this question more on a global thing. I also think it's a sociology challenge or a sociology and a generational thing. If you think about it, I'm on the tail end of the baby boomers, and we were raised work, 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 work. Go home, take care of your family. Work, work, work. Go home, take care of your family. Almost like that selfless, take care of everyone else. At least that's how I was raised. And now all of a sudden, everybody keeps talking about the millennials and how they're very much in tune to themselves and how, it's very, at some level, self-oriented. And I also think it's a clashing of those two generations to where maybe the boomers are waking up a little bit and saying, yeah, you're right, I don't take care of myself, I don't take time for myself, and I think it's so much more out there social media-wise, and then you have these younger people integrating into the workforce that it's much, much more tactile. It's in front of you. You can see it. You can touch it. Sometimes I'm tired of being so tired, so I'm more open to receiving that information as well and trying something different. So I think that's a big move along the generations as well that's made an impact on this.
Very
Which
interesting.
didn't really answer the question with the games, but it answered the question.
I think you bring up a solid point too about like the openness that people are finally now open to talking about this in person and in front of other people, whereas like health used to be this very private subject too, and so now people are going, hey, I'm willing to talk about this. I'm willing to pin my top 5 workouts and talk about how I just put on my run keeper, I ran 5 miles, and have everyone cheer me along. So I think that's definitely helped. You guys talked a little bit about, and Kelly brought up the fact that it's that statistic everyone uses, top 5 most stressful jobs by USA Today and Forbes and everybody like that. And we all have to kind of like wear it like a badge of honor, like you're talking about. Like we're like cool to be the most stressful jobs. But, a lot of times you don't think about it and you think like, well, that's great because it means my job's important and I'm doing something good. But you don't think about like the negative effects that we're talking about. What sort of negative effects are we seeing on event professionals because of the stress and everything like that? What sort of common things are we seeing that are popping up? We'll start off with Dr. Kim. You want to talk a little bit about what you're seeing?
What I'm seeing is event professionals, there's always delicious and very rich foods and beverages at events. And if you think about it, conference participants go to maybe 1 or 2, like very few conferences in a given year, but these events professionals are going to many. And at many, they're eating and drinking a lot. And I've yet to be at a conference where there wasn't some type of cake or rich dessert, no fruits or something lighter. So there's a lot of rich foods, desserts, alcohol, and there's just limited time to exercise and de-stress. And with the aging of the boomer events professionals, people are becoming more concerned about their health, about their weight gain, about the effects of their health, weight gain on many aspects of their lives, and they're feeling it. And they're very, very open and receptive to education and to solutions. And I see that because at the sessions that I deliver, these wellness talks and wellness lounges, they're packed. People are really, really excited and open for solutions.
Awesome. I think we're just doing such a good job teasing everyone with solutions right now. So I'll definitely jump into that. Kelly, yes. What have you been seeing, over the years when it comes to the negative effects of such, being event professionals and such a stressful job and everything associated with that?
I think just a normal routine. Event professional is not a 9-to-5 job. So we're eating late, we're getting up early, we're eating what we can eat whenever something is open, and then the lack of sleep. There are some times where, we work our events during the day, we do our business work at night, and oh my gosh, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm hungry. There's not that much available at that time of the day. So I think the event professional is burning the candle at both ends and trying to find normalcy where there is no normalcy whatsoever available.
Oh, that's interesting. I totally am with you on the whatever's available, because when I was first starting my company, I was in college and in high school, and what we do is we get done with events at like 1 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the morning, and what was the only thing open? Jack in the Box. So every week you were eating Jack in the Box, and that caught up with me very, very fast. So don't do that. Super duper great point about the lack of sleep too. Megan Powers is in the audience and had a comment about how people are bragging about being busy too. It's become a badge of honor to be so busy. But then she also said the short sleep has nothing to brag about. People say like, yeah, I got, what do you when you ask someone how are you, they say I'm busy, and that's okay, and everyone's like, oh, that's good, yeah, that's like the new normalcy of good. But she even said that being short sleep is a bad thing, and I think that's all in agreement with everyone here on screen saying lack of sleep is a very, very bad thing. So hopefully we'll come up with some ideas maybe later in the episode on how people can gain back their sleep. Kelly Treadway, you want to tell us a little bit about what you're seeing on the stressful sides and what event professionals got going on?
Yeah, I thought recently about this. It came to me that in the last 3 years, I've known 4 event professionals that have passed away, and not one of them was over the age of 60. And that, as someone in my mid-40s, that's really eye-opening. I think really jarring to me that if there's so many of our people in our industry, especially the legends, that if they don't make changes soon in their health, that it's not going to end well for them. So I think it's imperative that our industry really look at what the demand of the career, what it does on you, and we figure out ways to combat that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And definitely you bring up a good point about, that we're seeing so many people pass away at such a young age. And that's obviously a big trend that shows like, hey, this is not a good long-term solution.
Right.
So I think we're probably all in agreement that this is not a good thing to be happening. So I'm going to stop droning on, hopefully, and everyone's in agreement that we need to change things. So I want to jump into those solutions that we're all talking about. Start giving people actionable advice for what they can do. So let's start off with from your personal experience. What do you individually do to stay healthy? Do you have favorite exercises you do, rituals, foods, anything like that? Talk a little bit about what do you do to stay healthy? Let's kick it off with Kelly T.
Oh gosh, it's multi-layered now. I would say when I first got on the track to get healthy, the first thing I did was get my food in order, cut out caffeine, and really started eating clean and knowing what was in my food and knowing the calorie content of my food, which that's eye-opening in itself when you start realizing how many calories are in what you really eat. So that was first and foremost, because if you don't fix your diet, no exercise is gonna be able to balance that out. Beyond that, I work out 6 to 7 days a week. I do something at least 30 minutes every day. I love running. Everyone sees my running post. I love running. I'm addicted to Tracy Anderson method, which Tracy Anderson is this international trainer, and her work is dance-based, but then it's also mat strength work. So I do that, and then I do strength training weights 2 days a week. So I change it up because my body, my joints, like I can't do something repetitive the same day after day. I really feel it in my body, so I change it up, and so I get bored easily, so it's good. But that's kind of my routine.
So a lot of times when people are talking about replacing foods and things like that, do you have any tips for, like, you talked about cutting out caffeine, and a lot of people here say, my coffee, no, not my coffee, I need that, right? What would be your recommendation for someone who's looking to cut caffeine out of their diet?
Ooh, start with water and drink. The first day, drink 1 glass of water and just start replacing those sodas with water. That's the way I started. I mean, at my height of drinking sodas, I was drinking 5 a day, which that's like 3 times beyond your sugar intake of what you're supposed to have. So just start, cutting into that soda with drinking water, and I promise you, people think that they're going to be tired or feel it, or I drink no caffeine, and I never feel like the ups and downs of that. I no longer have headaches, which it took me 2 weeks to stop having headaches when I was, getting off of it. So it's brutal when you go off of it, but I promise you, if you stay with it, like after 2 weeks, you feel so much better and your skin clears up, and it's amazing because it's not just the caffeine in soda, it's also all the sugar.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. I think one tip I had for everyone too is that so I carry around a water bottle with me. So I like put it on a carabiner and I attach it to my backpack and everywhere I go. So then when I'm thirsty, instead of being like, oh, let me go get a Starbucks and carry that around, I just have my water with me. So like you naturally default to it. So
Exactly.
Dr. Kim, Kelly S, do you guys have any other tips for people looking to wean off the caffeine or the soda?
Well, I've never drank coffee or soda, but my
What?
approach, never. It's just not. And I don't
How
drink.
did you
I
get through
rarely
your
drink alcohol.
doctorate?
I, okay, so I'm a very nocturnal person, and I've historically had very disordered sleep and challenges with my sleep. So I'll talk about how I've maintained some semblance of work-life balance in my approach to health, and it's a more moderate approach. But I've learned from experience. I've been in the events industry for a couple years now, and even though I represented the picture-perfect portrait of health, over the past 2 years, I myself had put on 15 pounds. My blood glucose levels were way high, putting me in the pre-diabetes category of health. And for someone who's built a business around developing resources and giving wellness talks, it wasn't something that I expected. So I'm saying that with a caveat. So now my approach is that it's the eat, sleep, move, and breathe approach, and focusing on 4 components of work-life balance and healthy lifestyle. So eating, I don't skip meals anymore. I used to do that all the time, and meeting professionals do it all the time. So I eat 3 meals a day, and I've reduced my simple carb intake, and increased my proteins. Sleep, I've always had challenges with sleep, going to sleep between 1 and 3 in the morning and waking up a couple hours later. Now I sleep like a DCer. I'm in bed early, up early. I try to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, which is really important if we want to be on our toes. Movement, I have a standing desk. I'm standing at my desk right now, and on a standing mat. So I stand at least 4 hours a day, and I have my own exercise routine, which is high-intensity interval training to manage my blood glucose levels, yoga, dance, and weight training. And breathe. It's really important. We forget to breathe. We need to practice, everyone needs to practice mindfulness, meditation, deep breathing, relaxation, becoming more aware of your body in the moment and how it responds to stress. We're all experiencing stress. So learning how stress affects our body, hitting that pause button and responding thoughtfully rather than impulsively, and just deep breathing. So that's my approach. Eat, sleep, move, and breathe.
Awesome, awesome. For someone who, I know there's a lot of event professionals out there that are night owls. I just remember you getting emails at like 9 o'clock at night and 10 o'clock at night, and it's an acceptable thing. Wow, look at that person. They're working hard. What's your recommendation for someone who might be the same way, who at the end of the day, they feel not tired. They don't feel like they should go to bed. They want to just keep working. They want to get some things done. They feel energized. What's your thought? What's your advice for someone trying to transition to a more normal sleep schedule?
To read a book, have a bath, practice some meditation, download an app, disconnect from our technology, because that's what keeps us up, and that's what keeps us up throughout the night. I mean, how many of us sleep with our smartphones? I mean, let's be honest. So disconnect. I'm just shutting down that app and the smartphone app, and just focusing on relaxation, some meditation before bedtime, and not fielding emails and calls, and setting an example, role model that I don't work beyond a certain time.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. Like being able to put that self-control in to say, stop. Love it. I love it. Kelly,
Hey, Will,
yes.
I want to touch on this, and I know this is where you're going to ask me this question, so I'm going to go ahead and answer the question before you ask it. And it's going to be, okay, there are certain people that don't quite have it together as much as Dr. Kim and Kelly, and everything they're saying is true, but I'll be honest, I had to work on me and the big spectrum of me before I could work on breaking down my day. I mean, I'm a workaholic. I'm very, very much addicted. So disconnect. I mean, I had to learn how to disconnect before I could learn how to watch what I was eating and all this other stuff. So for me, it was a much, much bigger challenge. So what I do is I literally go off the grid a couple times a year. And it first started years back with a Bill Plotkin program called Soulcraft. And the whole concept was journey to soul. We're all here put on this earth to find out for our soul's purpose and to find that. But really what it did is I went off the grid for a week. We went backpacking into the back hills, and no phone, no electricity, no nothing. And so it's amazing what happens when you're alone with your own thoughts. It's amazing what happens when you're with a group of people, and really everybody's out there for the same reason, just to disconnect and to let go and talk about the clarity, talk about the calmness, talk about the lack of stress. It puts you in a completely different position, and you come back refreshed, you come back with a completely different approach of things, and that's what I have to do. And once I do that, a couple years later, now I can do this, eating right, and oh my gosh, I'm actually working out now, which is unheard of. And so now I'm doing all these other things, but I really just needed to work on me and take that, okay, the company will survive with me gone for a week, or okay, I'm all right, I came back, everything's okay. And that's where I had to break it down. I had to start way up there and learn to trust myself, not only trust my crew, but trust me that I could let go and that I could take a step away. And so, as much as these guys are so much further ahead of me as far as breaking down their daily routine, I had to break me down to be able to go into these other baby steps. So I had to approach it from a much bigger level to get down to the daily level.
I love it. I love it. That was very, very thoughtful and very, very insightful for sure. I think you bring up a really, really good point about being able to control yourself in your routines. As much as people think routines is about just picking what you're going to do and just doing it, it's about building that self-control, right? So I definitely love that. We talked a lot about like routine and things that we do. Let's talk about, a very common thing that happens in our industry, which is your routine is messed up, right? You're not at home. You're on the road for an event. You're at a hotel room. You don't have your normal space, everything like that. How do you stay, fit when you're on the road? How do you get, how are you able to fit in, you don't have time for yoga when you're traveling? What are your kind of thoughts when you're moving around and going around so much, and when you have so much going on? Kelly S., you wanna kick off with that one? How do you, for example, get that disconnect when you're on the road?
It's so much easier because they can't get a hold of you right away. I mean, you can turn your computer off, you can mute your phone. I mean, you can actually disappear. So in some ways, it's a little bit easier to control your life that way, because, at home I get up and I have conversation in the morning, and, you have your honeydew routines you have to do at home. So now all of a sudden you have that space where you can take care of yourself in the morning. I'm really not a morning person. I'm really not a night person. I used to be one, but I'm neither now. But it at least allows me a little bit of meditation time. I find myself moving a little bit more in the mornings and meditating, doing some yoga stuff at night. And then I try to force myself to do the 3 meals, because I could very easily have a late lunch with a client and just skip a whole meal. So what I've done now is if I can't eat early, then I'll probably just grab a banana or a protein shake or something like that at night. But I actually find travel easier because I don't have all the obligations outside of being my job as well as my personal life.
I love it. I think you bring up a good point too about, we started talking about skipping meals and 3 meals a day, and you talked about bananas and protein shakes. Do you have any other foods that you like to use when you're on the go, or like go-to things?
I'm not going to do a plug, but I have to say I live on Beachbody Shakeology. I take their shakes with me everywhere, and that's really what I survive on, is a lot of that. My new kick lately has been apple and peanut butter. So I came into work today with apples in my purse and the little Justin's peanut butter, and that's been my kick lately, is I can make a whole meal out of an apple and almond butter or peanut butter. Awesome. And you can travel that and nobody looks at you weird for carrying that stuff.
Awesome.
I
Any
like
other
hard-boiled
go-to
eggs.
foods? Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Kim. What would be like your go-to
Hard-boiled
travel
eggs,
foods?
but they're a bit smelly. Bringing hard-boiled eggs. But
What if
you
you're
know,
like in a hotel room? Like you can't boil the eggs, obviously, in the hotel room. How would you like? Would you
I
go to
bring
the
them.
restaurant?
No, I sometimes travel with them, as well
Oh,
as
nice.
protein powder and protein bars, because as much as I recommend that event professionals don't skip meals and they snack healthy snacks in between meals and they're front loading their days with fiber and protein, I myself was always on the run. And I also found it at conferences, the continental breakfasts just weren't healthy for me. I'm not going to eat donuts and muffins, so I started bringing my own food religiously. So I bring protein powders, protein bars. If I'm driving or if it's not too far, I'll boil hard-boiled eggs in advance and bring them. Or I bring a lot of nuts, unsalted nuts. So just easy things that I can grab and go and eat very quickly.
Awesome. What other ways do you fit in, workouts, mindful meditation, things like that when you're on the road? How do you control your routines?
So if it's difficult to get to the gym, some hotels don't have a gym, or there's just not enough time, I bring a jump rope, something really easy to pack and to do in the room or in the hallway. There's resistance bands that people can bring. They're so easy to pack, and you could do strength training in your hotel room. There's also hotel towels that you can use for stretching at the end of the day before bedtime. It's really nice to have a nice stretch. You've been on your feet all day long. Hopefully you're wearing comfortable footwear, or you have a change of shoes so you can go from your heels to flats. But it's a really nice way to stretch out with a hotel towel, nice hamstring stretches, etc. at the end of the day.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. I love the use of the jump ropes and being able to bring those like compact workout pieces with you. Obviously it's tough to bring dumbbells with you when you're traveling, but far too often we find this case where you don't have a gym. So that's awesome. Great ideas. Great ideas.
Or shoes are very big to pack and not everyone brings them. So there are some hotels, Starwood for example, you can rent shoes, t-shirt, water bottles, and so there's no excuse. There's always a way to fit it in.
I love it. I love it. Like you said, no excuse. Awesome. Kelly T, so start off with favorite like go-to travel foods and then how you fit in your routine while you're on the go.
Yeah, well, I have a funny story actually about kind of a scary story about food. Years ago, anyone that traveled with me and was my roommate knew that I always traveled with a box of Pop-Tarts in my suitcase. And inevitably, yes, Kelly's shaking her yes, I was a Pop-Tart junkie, but I would only eat them when I was traveling. And so what would happen is I would go on the road, and in the hotel, I would inevitably get sick, and I would come home sick. And so I finally realized, after seeing a study on how terrible Pop-Tarts are for you, they're basically like eating plastic if you look at them under a microscope. I realized that by doing that, I was hurting myself. So now I travel with a box of protein bars and shake powder and things like that you can make in the hotel. So I've completely done a 180, and I no longer get sick traveling, coming or going. But yeah, it was a interesting, light bulb went off one day that, hey, I'm doing this to myself by eating these Pop-Tarts.
I grew up on Pop-Tarts, so I know what you mean.
Yeah, they're so good, but they're so bad for you. Yeah, so that's my food thing. When I travel, I always take at least one workout outfit and my running shoes, no matter what. Even if my suitcase is at 50 pounds, that goes in there. I do Headspace, which is an app for meditation, which is an amazing app. Yeah.
Love Headspace.
So I'm obsessed with doing that, and that really is a great way to start the day and end the day, because once you get going on these conferences or on site at an event, once the steamroller starts, it's just bam, bam, bam all day long. So that meditation beginning and end of the day really helps focus me and brings my nerves, calms my nerves. Beyond that, I would say always when you check in at a hotel, always ask them about walking and running trails, because most of the hotels now will have printed material that they'll give you on safest routes to take that you can even walk by yourself, which I'm a big scaredy cat about doing things on my own as far as walking and running, but so far I've felt really safe in what hotels have recommended. So,
Awesome. Awesome.
And Map My Fitness is a great app as well.
Yeah.
To map out the walking or running routes.
Exactly.
Awesome. I'm a huge fan of Headspace. I highly recommend if you're not doing some sort of meditation, it's free for like the first 10 days, and you can technically you could just do the free one and just repeat it over and over again, but really good for easing you in. I love it. Use it every day. So
it's
huge
so
fan.
good for people who, like, going into it, I always had a hard time doing any kind of meditation, but the way that it's the speaker has it programmed, it's so easy to move into it. So yeah, it's so good.
His voice is very soothing too.
Yeah. Exactly.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we're running out a little bit out of time, so I have one more big question for you before we do our customary last two questions. We talked about some really some advanced techniques, some beginner techniques mixed in here. If someone's looking to get started, let's say, they're sitting there going like, yeah, I believe in all this, I got to do this. What would be your one thing you think that someone should start with? Like, for example, Kelly mentioned, hey, I started with my food. Do you recommend that everyone else starts with food? Everything like that. So, Kelly, why don't you kick it off? Where would you say that people should start?
I do. I think you need to learn what you're putting in your body. The way I did that is through an app called Lose It, and it's where you log everything that you put into your mouth. Even if it's a small peppermint candy, that gets put in, and you learn what percentage of that is a carb, what's sugar, how many calories it is. I mean, once you understand what you're putting into your body and what it's made up of and what the calories are, you can then start to make changes that are drastic. I mean, there are changes that you will begin to see almost immediately when you start making them. Yeah.
Fantastic. I love it. Dr. Kim, what do you recommend that people start with?
I recommend they start where they are. People are at different stages of the continuum. Some people are sort of pre-contemplation, they don't want to make any changes. Other people are already converted. So really starting where they are, and for someone who's just getting started, to start small, with small baby steps, because otherwise they're going to get very discouraged. You want to make it easy for them to fit fitness or wellness into their everyday life. So one step, one bite at a time. Could you add one more serving of vegetables a day? Could you add one more glass of water, or one less glass of an alcoholic beverage? Can you add 30 more minutes of sleep a night, and build it up? And just build it up into incremental steps, because that way people will be more encouraged and more motivated to stick with their new wellness journey.
Awesome. I love it. I think sticking with it is probably one of the biggest things too. We all know that first step. The first week of January when the gyms are packed, but it's by the time you look at February, they're empty, right? So gotta stick with it for sure. Kelly S., what about you? Where do you recommend people start?
It's going to sound like a commercial, but go see your doctor and get a physical. I mean, literally find out what your baseline is. Of course, the statistics are it's 80% food, 20% exercise. But me, I was a jock all through high school and college. So in my head, I still think I'm a jock. And the first time I tried to do an exercise program, I jacked my knee out for 2 weeks. And so I was like, oh, gosh, I'm not 18 anymore. But I think if you go to the doctor, you get those baselines, and at least you have an idea of what you're shooting for. I mean, a lot of times we jump into this and, we don't even have a goal. We just know I'm going to do this. And so if you don't even have a goal, it's really hard to keep going, because there's nothing to motivate you to keep going. So again, medically, make sure you're good, work out some sort of program with your doctor as well, and then get in with support groups. Again, we don't want to be alone. There are so many groups out there on Facebook, social media, apps, that no one should ever have to do this alone. There is a community out there that you can become a part of that will help get you to the day, to the next day, to the next day, to the next day. So I say establish a baseline, set the goal, and then get some support however you need that support.
I love it. I love the goal portion that you are saying, where do I want to be, right? Because a lot of times we're just we're going to get started and let's just jump right in. But having a goal is obviously important. But I also love the support network. And I think that we're luckily in an industry that everyone's very supportive of each other, right? We have a hashtag that you can go and talk to everyone, right? The hashtag EventProfs. So, being able to talk and being able to be proud to be those proud EventProfs and sharing with people and getting that support, finding out who else in the community is doing the same thing. And I'm sure there's tons of people out there that are willing to help. So I definitely love that, Kelly. Thank you. All right, so we only got a couple minutes left, so we're going to end on my two favorite questions that we ask everyone who comes on the show. So starting off with, if you could pick one tip about anything, what would be your one tip to event planners out there? So I'm going to kick it off with Dr. Kim. You're ready to go.
All right. So I'm going to speak from a self-care perspective. I mean, my bias is, every event planner needs to integrate wellness into their conferences and trade shows. But from a personal perspective, a working or business trip is not a vacation. So it's really important to take care of our bodies and our minds, and rather than to ignore health, because if you take care of yourself, you'll feel more productive, more energized, and more on with your clients and your conference participants.
Boom. Awesome. I love it. I love it. Kelly T. Let's go with Kelly T first. What's your one tip for everyone?
I'd have to say probably attack it like you do your events. Plan it out. Give it due diligence, and give it time. Give yourself time to plan it out. So whether that means putting time into planning your meals for the week so that you're eating healthier that week, or putting together a fitness go-to bag that when you are traveling, you can just grab that bag and throw it into your suitcase, and you know that it's already ready and set to go. So you're not having to think about it. But look at your health and wellness and your fitness program as almost like an event that you're planning. Put that kind of due diligence into it. Put yourself first, if only for an hour a day, and you'll start to see results.
I love it. Awesome. I think that was very important, too, to mind shift people from, hey, treat it like your events. Take that thing you already know and apply it to this. Awesome. I love it. I love it. Kelly S., last but not least, what's your one tip for event planners?
Find your why. Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to get healthy? Why do you want to lose weight? Why do you want to dedicate all this time to yourself? If you don't know why you're doing it, you'll never do it. So if that why is, you want to be healthy for your kids, if that why is you want to walk your daughter down the aisle, if that why is you want to look totally sexy in a bikini in Hawaii in June, then identify that why, and that'll get you where you need to go. It's a baby step, but it's the reason that's going to motivate you to get started. Mm-hmm.
I love it. Oh my gosh, that was like 3 amazing tips back to back. I love it. I love it. I love it. So good. So good. So we got one last question for you guys, and this is the chance to share with everyone all of your favorite resources, whether it's your favorite blogs, your favorite websites, really anything you want to share at all. It can be health related, event related, technology related, it could be Batman related, whatever you want to share. So why don't we kick it off? Kelly S., what are your favorite resources that everyone out there has to know? Sorry, I put you on the spot.
That's all right. I just follow Kelly Treadway, really. Whatever she does, I do. And then there's other people in the industry that I know are doing really good programs. So just for me to follow these people, another great lady, Natalie Nardone, is in the industry, and she's established this huge commitment to exercise and weight loss, and her following has grown, and she's consistent and she's real. And so that goes back to what I said, is find a group, find a home, find a place where if you want to say, oh my gosh, I totally screwed up, or I haven't worked out, and you can allow yourself to be vulnerable as well as accountable. And so again, I'm going to go back to find that group where you can be yourself and allow yourself to be accountable, and also allow yourself to be vulnerable.
Oh, so good. Very good. Kelly T., any resources on your end? Anything you want to share with everybody?
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback on Kelly's. It's kind of finding your tribe. For me, as a runner, Instagram is huge. I get huge inspiration from following other hashtag runners or hashtag IG runners on there. Also with Tracy Anderson Method, that family, that tribe is called, bless you.
Thank you.
That tribe is called Tamily. So if you ever see anything that I'm working on that says hashtag Tamily, that's the Tracy Anderson Method family.
How do you spell Tamily?
Tamily. And that is a work. I mean, those women and men are all over the world, but they're dedicated to fitness under that particular program. and it keeps you, it plugs you into a tribe that has the same mindset, but then also keeps you accountable. You know, they're pushing each other to go to the next level or to continue on or that sort of thing. So it's really, those are the things that I follow a lot on Instagram. I'm trying to think what else. I read a lot of fitness books. Probably the last one I read was for marathon training. It was, I can't remember the name of it, but I can put it in the Google Docs so that you have it.
Yep.
But yeah, so marathon training is, you know, get out there, meet people, connect with people, and read. You know, not just read what's online, but actually read some books written by experts as well.
Awesome. And yeah, for anyone who's tuned in and want to know what that book is, we'll post in the show notes on the blog afterwards, helloendless.com/blog. We'll have it up on the resources. So awesome. Dr. Kim, I know you got a ton of resources. What do you have to share with everyone?
I think that they're on the blog, your blog.
Yep.
Okay.
So check out all the resources that Kim has mentioned.
Good. So I'm all about making it easy to fit fitness and wellness into one's busy lives through bite-sized wellness. Besides the jump ropes, the resistance bands, which we, by the way, sell, wearable devices. When I was at IMAX, I walked 70,000 steps over 4 days. It was quite amazing. I love my Fitness Pal to log my caloric intake and what I eat. So that's from a personal perspective.
What's your go-to fitness band that you like right now?
Which kind of band?
Yeah, what do you like? What are you wearing?
They're just. I wear Fitbit.
Yeah, Fitbit. Okay, awesome.
But you know, I'm not partial to any brand. It could be an Apple Watch, Fitbit, Garmin, anything that tracks the steps and also gives you a reminder when you've been sitting idle for, let's say, 1 hour. So I love standing desks. I'm a big fan of standing desks and standing mats to take the load off of your back and your knees, hips, etc. And then we're all about conference wellness. So on our website, x-bytes, bytes.com, we have a slew of information on how to integrate wellness into conferences and trade shows. We have a library of video micro breaks, yoga, mindfulness, and fitness, all done in business clothing, sweat-free. We do wellness lounges. I give wellness talks. And we have tip sheets, which people love. They're these just great things on healthy eating, desk exercises, things that you can do at your desk. So there's a ton of resources in the Wellness Center of the website. And I also write a blog where I'm actually started to feature meeting professionals and their journey through wellness. I featured one woman who lost 90 pounds in about 8 months. And then I featured another meeting professional who took up marathon running to conquer her depression. So I'm starting to feature various success stories and journals through the blog.
Awesome. I love it.
Yes, I was going to say, for all those people who are interested in a standing desk and want to learn more about it, I wrote an amazing blog, which I'll put in the show links, called Why All Event Professionals Need a Standing Desk. And it's like your ultimate guide to why you need a standing desk and everything about it. Well, not necessarily why, because that's kind of like everywhere already, but it's like, what are a couple different examples of cheap desks, expensive desks, how your monitor should be placed, all that sort of stuff. So I'm a huge fan of the standing desk, so I'm going to high-five you on that one for sure.
Yeah, I love it too.
Awesome. And then Kelly asks, what are your go-to resources for everyone out in the interwebs?
Oh, I already gave you mine. I want to hear from Kelly T.
Oh, yes, that's right. I'm so sorry. Yes.
Full endorsement.
Yes. So yeah, just a ton of resources for sure. I like also the Instagram for running, because that's definitely someplace you don't think you'd go to find some inspiration. So
I forgot to mention to visit EventProfs Run, and you'll get to read tons of other event professionals, their success stories, and what they're doing, whether it's just grabbing up their kids and going for a Sunday hike to fit in fitness on a weekend. Even those small things, they add up over time. So
it's just eventprofsrun.com, right?
On Instagram it's just at eventprofsrun, and then the website is eventprofsrun.com. Yeah.
Perfect. Make sure I get that down in the show notes for everyone. Awesome. Well,
Perfect timing. We had just come to the end of the episode. I got to give a massive, the chat is just blowing up with people so excited for this topic and everything you guys are saying, preach, this is amazing. So I think we're going to have you guys back for another episode for sure. But this has been absolutely amazing, a great topic to discuss, and I got to give a huge thank you to our amazing guests, Kelly, and Dr. Kim. If everyone wants to make some virtual noise. Woo! So thank you guys so much again for being on the show. For everyone who is tuned in right now, make sure that you tune in next week. You know that we're going to be here again 5 p.m. Eastern every single Wednesday. We have an amazing topic lined up next week. I don't want to give it away too much because I'm working on trying to communicate the next episodes, but I always forget at the end of the episode what's next. So just tune in next week. It's going to be amazing. We're featuring some amazing event profs and some amazing music festivals, conferences, and people who are changing the events industry. So make sure you tune in next week. But we got to get out of here. So thank you guys again for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week, 5 p.m. Eastern on #EventIcons.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for another amazing episode. To catch the transcription and all of the resources mentioned, head to www.helloendless.com/blog. This week's episode will be posted and available by next Tuesday. Also, let us know what you thought about this week's episode. Share your biggest takeaway and join the Twitter conversation sponsored by Alex Plaxton and Little Bird Told Media. Just tag your post with #EventIcons. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you again for joining us. We'll see you next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on #EventIcons.